Finally, the UN is back in Burkina Faso in full swing. But at what cost? And on what terms? The United Nations has its chamber in Burkina Faso. It has been working with Burkina Faso since its establishment and its signing of Burkina Faso as its member. But after the coup that brought Traoré in power in 2022, the things torn apart. The UN used to work well with the previous governments that were there in place by that time. But when Traoré came, he set a new path. He said, right, we are going to work with you, but on our own terms. We no longer want you to interfere in the local politics of our nation. So fine, if we are to work with you, work with us on our own terms, not your own terms, because you're in our own country. This is what Burkina Faso told them. At first, they disagreed, and they wanted to be independent from the Burkina Faso government in order to do their own things, and no investigations should be followed on what they are doing. There is no inspection, no any light on their activities. So that's why they locked heads with the Burkina Faso government. Traoré said, if you want to work with us and you're willing to work with us, be free, put your things in light, you work with us when you know what you're doing. So that's when the problem started. And by that time, the disagreements between UN and Burkina Faso were fueled by the exit of France. So France, remember, France is a superpower and is a United Nations permanent member on the Security Council. So it has a big say on the matters concerning the world. So these people locked heads with the help of France. They wanted to go on like they used to do before during the regimes of Christian Marc Kabore and other people. But Traoré set his own terms. You're going to work with us. If you want to work with us on our own terms. This is what the report said. And this is a crucial report directly from the Burkina Faso government. They said, refocusing on UN interventions in Burkina Faso. The Minister of Foreign Affairs calls the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Burkina Faso. In a letter made public this Wednesday, August 6, 2025, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré, welcomes the cooperation of the United Nations, but requests an urgent realignment of its practices to respect the vision of President Ibrahim Traoré, national sovereignty, priority to local expertise, and indigenous development. You understand? If the UN wants to cooperate with Burkina Faso now, it is going to cooperate with Burkina Faso on Burkina Faso's terms. You're going to employ Burkinabès. All the activities that will be run in Burkina Faso will be held and participated in by the Burkinabès representing the United Nations in Burkina Faso. Before, the French, the Germans, and every other members were the ones doing these activities, occupying the jobs of the local people in Burkina Faso. So the UN is in Burkina Faso, but it is employing people outside Burkina Faso. Not only this is how they are doing their things. So this is what the major things and the major concerns put across by the Burkinabè government. Let's start with one. The first major concern is recruitment of international experts without the agreement of Burkinabè authorities is a major concern. Marginalizing of national experts despite their skills. Prioritized elimination of local positions in case of budget cuts. That is the third one. Lack of transparency in the evaluation of international staffs. You understand? Those are the four major concerns put across by the Burkinabè authorities in front of the UN. If you want to recruit experts, do it with the consent of the government. This is what true sovereignty is. Because you cannot recruit an international expert in France without the consent of the French government, in US, in Germany, in Russia, in China. You have to first consent the possible authorities in order to do things in light, shed light on what you're going to do and the people you're going to employ. Another thing, don't marginalize local experts at the expense of international experts. You try to hire international experts at the expense of these people, the local people, yet they have all required skills. So this was also a major concern. Prioritize elimination of local positions in case of budget cuts. In case of a budget cut by the government, of course, you have to take it serious that you have to adapt to the changing budget cuts that have been put in place by the Burkinabè government. You don't need to demand us money to pay you too much money, yet we cannot finance our own developments. So this is also a major concern, and actually it is touching. So let's see what the Burkinabès recommend the UN to do in case if they were to cooperate, if they want to cooperate well without any resistance with the Burkinabè authorities. Absolute priority to national expertise. Recruit Burkinabè for strategic positions, including leadership roles, for greater efficiency and sovereignty. The people you want to recruit, let them be Burkinabès. No any foreigner should be recruited in Burkina Faso as a UN representative, even in high positions. Let them be Burkinabès to participate in their missions. Another one, mandatory co-decision. No international expert will be recruited without the prior approval of the relevant ministries. That is fine. No one should come from outside and be recruited in Burkina Faso without any approval from the Burkinabè government. If you really want to recruit that person, contact the ministries that are in charge of that are in charge and in coordination with the United Nations in order to shed light on the person you're going to bring in and for what role is he coming for, so that they can really work with him in a good and respectful manner. Protection of local jobs. Prohibition of emanating national positions without consultation with the state. You have to protect the local jobs. These minor jobs and even high-level leadership roles should be held by the Burkinabès. If you are a UN representative, if you want to continue with your work in Burkina Faso, employ Burkinabès in order not to make the Burkinabès lose their job and you recruit other people from other countries. Of course, you see they are trying to safeguard their country from what they call imperialism. Reorientation of funds. Invest in structuring infrastructure rather than costly salaries of international experts. Wow. If we really want to work with us, invest in our infrastructure in order to develop our country, because the work of the UN is to develop and protect national interests of their member states. So if you want to develop Burkina Faso, this is why you have stayed here for so long, invest in infrastructure, build schools, build hospitals, construct roads. You understand? Put on money acquiring jobs in order to make the locals participate in those jobs to have good returns and feed their families. This is a way of changing life in Burkina Faso. These are demands by the state to the United Nations if they really want to cooperate with Burkina Faso. And this is, I think this is not injustice. These are actual means. Another thing that they said, joint evaluation of international staff by Burkinabè state. Joint evaluation. Evaluation of staffs that are employed at UN, they have to be jointly evaluated based on their merits by the Burkinabè state in order to see whether they are really fit for the job they gave them. We don't want these people who only take Mercedes-Benz and go everywhere just lousing around and eating money for free. So if you really want to work with the Burkinabè authorities, you have to present good things. You have to present your achievements in order to go on with your work in Burkina Faso. I think this should not be a disagreement. They should agree on this term. These are the demands by the Burkinabè to work with the UN. And I think the UN is yet to respond. Let's hope for a possible good response from the UN in order to work with Burkina Faso. Because the UN needs Burkina Faso more than even Burkina Faso needs UN now. At first, Burkina Faso needed UN more than the UN needed them. But now the game changed. Burkina Faso is taking its destiny without even any help from these other countries. We have seen them. They have made a deal with Niger in the alliance of Sahel states. So these countries are trading with each other to ease trade amongst themselves in order to develop their own nations without international loans, without any demands from other partners. So these are countries that are determined to work and improve the well-being of their people at their own will. Thanks to them. Let's give them an applause. See you. We shall meet in the next episode.